Oh, it's totally different because I learned that is North Korea is a polite country, but totally different. So before I saw its example is egg. So I saw the country just only outside, but when I departed North Korea, I totally see the inside. Yeah, that is not yellow, that is black.
That's Ji-Hyun Park talking about being repatriated to North Korea following her first escape. And this is the latest episode of the All Things Risk podcast. Hello everyone, this is Ben Catania, host, producer, marketer, and founder of the All Things Risk podcast. I know I say this at the start of each episode, but as far as I know, this is the world's best and only long-form podcast on risk and uncertainty, where we look across all topics, where regardless of who you are, where you live, or what you do, you can learn some great things from our wonderful guests. I know I say that each episode, but it's true. And if you're new to the show, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Today's episode is a combination of a big picture, a risk-taking, and a resilience conversation. And I think you'll be riveted by it because today we go inside North Korea and we also hear about two harrowing escapes from this closed and mysterious country. And you know, when we hear about North Korea in the news, it's often missile tests, negotiations, cyber attacks, or what Kim and Dennis Rodman are talking about or similar. But what is going on behind all of this? What is life like inside the country? Today, we get to peer inside the Hermit Kingdom. And as you'll hear, there's a human rights crisis going on and a lot more information that really is either hard to come by or we just don't hear about. My guests are Ji-Hyun Park and Michael Glendinning. Ji-Hyun is a North Korean refugee. She's now living in the UK. Michael is the CEO and founder of Connect North Korea and the director of the European Alliance for Human Rights in North Korea. Ji-Hyun's story is remarkable. It's one of risk-taking, resistance, hope, and courage. Ji-Hyun escaped not once, but twice from North Korea. She tells us about all of that, about growing up in the country, the Songbun or class system in North Korea, the decision she took to escape the first time in the mid-1990s. And warning, there's some raw stuff in all of that. Her repatriation back to the country and her second escape. It's an amazing story and ultimately one of hope. And together with Michael, we also hear about the quiet revolution of consumerism and capitalism in the country, access to foreign media in North Korea, and what that all means for the future. And I think it all puts the current news about North Korea into some interesting context. It's all absolutely fascinating, and it's hard to do it justice with this short intro. So why don't we get into it? Let's go inside North Korea with Ji-Hyun Park and Michael Glendinning. Welcome, and Michael, welcome to the All Things Risk podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. This is new territory for me because I listened to your talk a few weeks ago and I found it fascinating, and I thought my listeners would be very interested to hear some similar things. I've been fascinated by North Korea for some time because I think it's so closed and we don't hear very much about the country. And I think this is a great opportunity. So I'm very gracious and thankful that you're here to share your thoughts. Perhaps maybe just to start a little bit light, perhaps. But you've been here for how many years in UK?
Over 9 years.
Over 9 years. Okay. And Michael, you've been working for Connect North Korea for how how long?
Well, it's actually a relatively new organisation.
Okay.
We started it earlier this year, actually.
Yes.
But I've been running a different organisation, the European Alliance for Human Rights in North Korea, since 2012, and been involved on North Korean issues since 2009.
Mm-hmm. North Korea's obviously been a lot in the news lately, and we only hear about things like missile tests and comments made by the U.S. president and the heads of state and so on. So I'd like to go a little bit deeper than that. But when you hear what's happening between the U.S. and North Korea, do you both pay attention to it? What do you think when you hear headlines about what's happening in North Korea?
Today I listened to the BBC radio on the bus. So they talked about the U.S. president and North Korea. They talk conversations in future, but Tillerson said that he said that he's still waiting when North Korea come out. Yeah, so only to that is they talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and nothing to say anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you
Because yesterday is in America, New York, in UN official, they just invited the North Korean females and they listened to the inside of North Korea human rights issues. But it's the BBC didn't say any words. That they only talked about this talk North and the South USA talk.
Mm. So the discussion around human rights gets ignored.
Oh yeah, always.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Unfortunately, whenever there's because the nuclear situation appears on the surface, at least, to affect everyone. With the range of the weapons that North Korea has, they can hit the US, they can hit Europe, etc. So of course people pay more attention to that. But the reality is, of course, North Korea is not going to launch any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the last, if it were to happen, it would be the last thing they ever did.
Mm-hmm.
So people get distracted by that. And the human rights situation and the humanitarian situation get entirely sidelined, and I guess that's really why we started doing what we did,
Mm-hmm.
what we do, to try and kind of shine a light on that situation and try and increase its importance in public discourse on North Korea.
Mm-hmm. Michael, I'm just curious of your background first. How did you get involved in doing this type of work?
So I moved to South Korea in 2009 to teach
Mm-hmm.
English.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of got involved working with a couple of different organisations there, and just got interested in it from there, and saw that there's nothing being done in the UK really, and decided to set up the organisation with a friend of mine, and I've been running ever since, doing it ever since.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about inside North Korea to start, I'm assuming that the vast majority of my audience will have never been to North Korea. I have never been to North Korea. You can I guess go on these tours where they give you a very completely sanitized version of what living in North Korea is like, but we don't really see the real North Korea. So it might be useful if you both perhaps paint a bit of a picture around. So I know there's this thing called the Songbun system. I'm curious what that is, what that means, and then what it looks like and feels like in practice. So maybe Ji-Hyun, maybe your life growing up in North Korea. What is it like? You went to school. What is it like?
Yeah, it's the many people in European people they can understand what is the 성분 systems.
Yes.
So it's simply say that in school we usually the student is level 1, level 2, level 3. It's similar to that. It's level 1 is a high quality elite people, it's loyalty people, and the second the 성분 system is middle class and the hostile class. So usually we say that is the good 성분 system is the person who is already joined the work party or is back to mountain blood. Is when Kim Il-sung is fight the Japanese era in 1930s, and also who joined the Korean War in army. So this is the loyal family members is a good 성분 system, and the middle 성분 system is some people is who studied in Japanese era or some rich people. Yeah, this is middle class, and the hostile is who is left North Korea when Korean War times, or who worked with Japanese army in 1930s, 1940s. Yeah, so that is people, so hostile people. Yeah, so we is class is level class. Yeah.
So if somebody is born in, say, 1960s or 1970s, do they automatically move into one of the three classes depending on their family background? Or
yeah, we always check the family background. It's generations, always a generation. So it's 성분 system is we look at the generation, not only my born. Yeah, it's a generations.
So can you move from one class to the other?
But this class is not forever. Sometimes we loyalty families. Sometimes they just drop in hostile. Example is Jang Sung-taek and Hwang Jang-yeol families is nowadays hostile class. Yeah, so it's always moving.
Okay. So what does it mean to be in the hostile class or the middle class or the upper class? I guess the upper class means you live in Pyongyang and you get many benefits. What does it?
Usually, it's the loyalty. Elite people. Elite people is just only 1% or 2%.
Okay.
Elite people lives in Pyongyang, but another people is loyalty people, but they lived in not only Pyongyang, in some different areas. Yeah.
And what does it mean to be in the middle class? What can you do and can you not do?
North Korea is only they look to just only first class is a loyalty person, and is middle and hostile is the same. They not looked for much more. And example is who student is already finished the school and they want to go university, but this time it's elite people. They choose the Pyongyang University, but middle and hostiles.
They cannot.
Yes, that is very hard.
And what is, maybe it would be interesting to listen to what it was like for you growing up in terms of the situation that you had when you were growing up. What was it like going to school? Did you have friends? Did you have activities? What is the kind of the daily life? What was it like?
Yeah, my father was the loyalty family because my grandfather worked with Kim Il-sung's uncle, but we just only heard that.
You only heard rumors, yes.
You only heard that, but I never see my grandfather because my grandfather passed away before I was born. So I heard that. So my father is a very loyalty family, but my mother generation is hostile because my grandfather left North Korea in 1950s. Yeah, so it's the hostile and my father is the elite. So one day I asked my father, why did you marry his mother? Because my mother is 성분 is a hostile 성분. So my father took to us it's a lovely story. Because my father is a loyalty family member, but he was the 5 siblings, and my father's old brother was a disabled child. So it's the family members, or my father is responsible of family member, but that time his father is already passed away, and my grandmother was also disabled because she's not disabled, is adult, but it's 1950s Korean War time. Is gun shoot his back, her back, so he usually is, So my father is responsible to all family members. So my father thought that is maybe I just is married, the wife is a strong woman. But this time is my mom and my father work the same companies, and my mother also is a driver. It's in company car. It's a small car inside. So my father looked at always my mother. So maybe I married her. She also responsible to all families.
I see.
So my father knew about my mother generations, but he told his mother is. She's a lie, and he said that my mother already joined the work party. So after they married, and after that is my grandmother knew about my mother's generations. So my mother told me that is my grandmother always is discrimination to her because it's a hostile Songbun system. So, but my mother always responsible is my uncle and my auntie. We lived in my house when my grandma passed away. So it's normal life, but it's my surname is Park, is my father's surname. So my Songbun is also joined my father's generations. So it's not too much bad. So when we went to the school, we also played with good Songbun is friends, and hostile Songbun friends differently. So we usually played with friends outside. Is war games. It's the fighting the American soldiers and the Korean soldiers. So loyalty child is always this North Korean soldiers, and the hostile Songbun is. Friend is always American, so we fight them. It's normal life,
Right. What did you have? You have brothers and sisters, or did you grow up with brothers?
Older sister and younger brother.
And what was it like going to school? When did you? What things? What is the school system there? Was it like going to? Classes every day?
First, when I was 6, I went to the nursery, 1 year's nursery. So first days I was very exciting. Is starting is learning. But first day we went to the nursery and we learned about the Kim Il Sung's history first day, and we memorized Kim Il Sung's birthday, and when he started is joined the army or fighting Americans. Always remember.
Always fighting Americans.
Everything is we learned. America and all Japanese era. We learned that. So it's 1 year at the nursery, and when we start 7, age is 7, we start kindergarten. It's 4 years kindergarten. So first 2 years we do is a normal life is because that is a child. But the second way we joined red groups is we wearing the red scarf. So this means we start is the politics side. So age is 8, we start wearing the red scarf, and every week is a criticism work, and we also worked in government side work outside.
So you're starting to get involved in the politics already.
Politics
in the
already.
Party and in
not the party, but it's North Korea's rules. First is wearing the red scarf, and after yacht club, and then work party. It's the step. So that is the first step.
What did you want to? We always ask when we have children. One of the common questions of children we ask children is, "What would you like to be when you grow up?" So when you were growing up, what did you want to be?
My father is a work party member, and every month he is the work party is a cut in his belly. So I really is proud my father. Yes, so I thought that maybe I also growing up and joined the work party. Yeah, because this is the North Korea's big dreams. Yeah.
Yes. And what did you think about, or what did you learn about outside of North Korea? What did you learn about other countries? United States, of course, but did you learn anything about the United Kingdom or China or other countries?
It's the United States and the South Korea's enemy country in North Korea.
Yes.
And China is the blood friendship countries because in 1950s Korean War, this time is the Chinese army also joined this war and we together fight America and South Korea in this time. So before the 1980s is before European country is socialist countries collapsed down. We usually watch the movies, Russia movie or Romania movie once a month. But this movie also is World War II. They also is fight the America. America. So this movie,
they shared their propaganda movies to North Korea.
Always fight movie, not this romantic movie. No. Always fight movie. And after they collapsed down, and this movie is gone. And inside North Korea, they never teaching to us is outside the countries. They always teaching them. Is North Korea is Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il, because it's North Korea born in 1948. So they started is new systems inside. So they cut off the outside information. So they just only teaching the inside the Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il's history. So we always memorize it and we competitions in school.
So I'd like to maybe turn to the so this was, you grew up in the 1980s. 70s, 80s?
No, I was born in 1968.
Okay. So and then you would have gone and started to work or get a career. You said I think you were a teacher.
Yes. Because we finished the high school is when we 17. So all men is join the army, military, and the girl is we same system here. We exams and who passed the exam and we choose university. So I also the good result, got the good result, and I joined the university.
And you got a job teaching.
Yes, teacher's job. But my university is an agriculture university. So when I graduated this university, I just went to the farm side. But my mother is paid money to the education companies. So and education company she paid money. But it's before when I in university I went to the country is competition is the exams, so I was one, so I got the certificate. So this certificate is also give me much more opportunity. So after I started teaching job.
How would so you mentioned your mom had some money to pay some fees.
It's 1980. It's mid 1980s. It's North Korea opened the Chinese market first in Cheongjin, and after Sinich, and later then it's Haesan. So it's in mid 1980s. It's my mother's relatives who lives in China. They visited North Korea because they also business work. So but before is my mother or in a home. He just feed pigs. Lots of pigs.
So people can have small commerce, small business.
No, North Korea has never allowed any business. But she always feed the pigs because everywhere we just is the give the pig to military service somewhere. So my mother worked that with pigs.
Yeah.
But after my mother met her family members who visited in North Korea, so she just thought about maybe I can do that. So she just did this start business in mid 1980s, but it was illegal, and my father really angry because it is my father always a loyalty member and respected the Kim families. So my father is always angry to my mom. But my mom started this business, and after she knew about that is earned money, and so she's usually targeted is Women's Union is the criticism week every week targeted, but she didn't give up. She always did that. Yeah, so she that time she earned lots of money. So me and my sister usually wear the Japanese clothes.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's North Korea. We always wearing our clothes in North Korea clothes, but sometimes we wear the Japanese clothes. So it's usually my area people told to us we are second rich people. Always that. Yeah. So that time is my mom is lot of money, so she paid money to.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was illegal.
Yes. Well, but it very interesting because Michael, you talked about this quiet revolution that's been happening in North Korea, and already this story is interesting because it suggests that underneath all of this control there are people who had illegal businesses and interested in trade and commerce and finding ways to make a little bit of an extra living, but that's really exploded, right? And can you talk a bit about that?
Sure.
Because it's fascinating stuff.
I guess North Korea has become a kind of a bit of a mixed market economy over the past 25-30 years, maybe a bit longer than that actually. And on the one hand, there's this sort of grassroots momentum, people setting up their own little market stalls and selling and kind of thriving really. And then on the other hand, there's the state has used the market economy and built some of those systems into their business practices to extract and create wealth. What we're seeing currently is some of the sort of moneyed class of North Koreans setting up kind of enterprises that might not necessarily be that direct, might not have that strict a control on them, because I think not just at a grassroots level, but also within the North Korean elite, we're seeing slowly but surely a shift away from a thinking that what is good for the Kim family is good for the state. Instead of that, there's been a shift away from, well, maybe my needs are more important. And on a grassroots level, that means that people are able to put food on the table.
And how do they do that?
Well, a lot of Ji-Hyun talked about the North Koreans, the sort of Sino-North Korean relationships, bringing food and items in, other items through channels up on the North Korean border. And that helps sustain, that's kind of built up. And as Ji-Hyun said originally, it was very, very illicit black market activity, but it's moved slowly into a position where the North Korean state has had to tolerate it, and now starts to tax some of these, has not legalized is not, I don't think is the right word, but certainly has allowed these processes to occur, and they tax them, and
so it's like a gray market,
kind of a grey market economy.
Right. So we're talking clothing,
food, medicine,
Mm-hmm.
essentials basically. And of course, at the higher end, or you've got people setting up international trading companies, selling stuff to China and that kind of thing. But that needs some degree of patronage, of course, because the Kim family are getting their kickback. But people are getting, so there are a sort of moneyed class has evolved, and people in the North Korean elite now are becoming, on an individual level, pretty wealthy, and that, I guess, eventually will have some kind of. I think that's creating a divergence of interests. Whereas before, 30 or 40 years ago, everyone was there in North Korea was there to serve the good of the Kim family, and now it's as I said, it's starting to be, people are moving away from that. Right across the country, and it's allowed these sorts of market reforms, which are not state-led; they're entirely people-led. They're pushing. It's allowing freedom of information. People can go to the market stalls and get DVDs and USBs and whatever else of foreign media. So these markets and the marketization of the country has played a powerful role in shaping how North Koreans understand life, not just in their own country but beyond. Ji-Hyun talked about how their access to foreign media before was Romanian and Russian films once a month. Now, people watch foreign media from South Korea, China, the US. They do it every day, and of course that's still illegal. But the kind of marketization of the state, the society, has allowed a greater sort of risk-taking, if you like. People they know what will happen to them if they're caught with this foreign media or any kind of illicit goods that they've managed to obtain through the black markets. They know what will happen to them, but they still do it, and that can only be of long-term good for North Korea.
That's curious because, well, I guess, does the state allow it just because things would just collapse if they didn't?
The state allows the markets because, well, first of all, it's become a good source of income because they tax them now. Some of them are taxed anyway. But second of all, the public distribution system, which used to supply the goods to North Koreans, collapsed, and these market activities filled the gap, and there's been a kind of shift away from people knowing that they could rely on the state. The state could never produce enough items and clothing and food to make people's lives really comfortable, but they could survive. Whereas when the public distribution system collapsed in the late 1980s, early 1990s, people had to rely on the market. So of course that creates a shift in mindset, so that people no longer think, oh, well, we can rely on the state. Now they think, there's only I can rely on myself and those around me, and the state hasn't been able to push back against that because people know what's going to happen to them if they rely entirely on the state to provide for them, and that's a powerful thing.
Do you think that this access to foreign media, whether it's South Korean films or American films or whatever, does that create a bit of more of a political consciousness in terms of galvanizing an opposition, or do you think it's just people like to watch soap operas?
It's a difficult one.
Yeah,
what do people really think of the Kim regime?
Because we always watch North Korea movie and drama, because that everything is describing this Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il, or nowadays Kim Jong Un. So people nowadays very boring this movie. But they start watching South Korea drama, and that is very romantic, and it's look like different countries because is the many younger people say that they have got lots of cars and they lives in a building
Big houses.
and big house and have dinners, many desserts in there. So they thought about this. Oh, that is a different Earth, maybe. And it's the American movie or England movie. They can't understand this English, but that is action movie. So people liked this action movie. So they liked this movie.
Do you think go ahead, Michael.
I suppose it kind of hasn't really pushed a change in political consciousness, but I suppose the access to foreign media does for North Koreans what media does for us. It provides an escapism, whether it's watching a soap or a film or reading a book. It's not. It takes you away from kind of real life, and of course that doesn't mean that the sort of changes in North Korean society have left people placid and without agency. There's certainly a degree of self-assertion in North Korea, and people do voice unhappiness about their decision-making in the regime. But of course they do it quietly. They don't go around shouting up, and they don't protest, or they don't. Well, there have been some protests, but it's not like you don't see hundreds of thousands of people rolling down a road complaining about X, Y, and Z policy. It's just not like that. But there has been a shift in self-assertion, but not necessarily in their consciousness of political decision-making.
Sounds to me like what you're saying is so we often, whenever there's a crisis with North Korea, all of a sudden here in the West, you have people in the media saying, how long will it be before the regime collapses, and lots of speculation about that. But it sounds to me like you're saying this is going to take a long time.
It's a fool's errand to guess when North Korea will change. History shows that some regimes have collapsed basically overnight and people, without any kind of forewarning. But in other cases, the change has been more gradual, and of course, it's much more difficult with North Korea to assess these things because we don't have anywhere near the level of access, and there's not the same level of. Like between East and West Germany, of course, we didn't know that the Berlin Wall was going to come down and that was all going to change. No one really knew that was going to happen. But we had some degree of access. They could see what was on the other side, and the West Germans could see likewise on the other side. And in North Korea, we just don't have that kind of level of an insight because we can't get anywhere near it. And I think eventually there will be a sufficient body of middle class who want things that diverge from what the Kim regime wants, and whether that will lead to change or any kind of political crisis or collapse or whatever, I don't know. I'm not going to guess on that, but I think there are healthy signs that North Korean people on their own have made progress. It's just the regime just does not wish to make those, just does not want to meet those benefits head on and help shape a better society. They've got no desire to, no interest to. So
I guess we might say as well that perhaps China and also the powers that be don't want a crisis on their doorstep either. Yeah. Is that fair to say?
I think so. There was a report this week about the Chinese establishing refugee camps. Now, I'm not sure about the veracity of that, but I wouldn't be surprised. The reality is, if North Korea collapses or reforms in any major way, there are going to be refugee outflows, and it's just prudent planning from the Chinese to prepare for that eventuality. and I wish I could say the same for other regional governments, that there was or regional stakeholders, that there was better planning for North Korea's future.
Amongst the part of who is it? South Korea,
Japan, Russia, the US, and then sort of the UN and other
the wider international community. Okay.
But is it the Kim family have been controlled North Korea almost 7 decades? So there is many people, is it the European people or USA, they always say that North Korea started bombing in 1990s, but North Korea economic problems early 1980s.
Okay.
So in 1984, is Kim Il Sung spoke that 3rd August. He spoke that is every company's housewife, is including the all country people, they make is products themselves. So this means North Korea economics problems start problems early 1980s. So that time is in many companies they make this girls pin, mori pins or pinchim, everything is all just is plastic, everything is made themselves, and housewife sold out in market. So in this time is North Korea, I think so. Before it's North Korea, never opened is a Chinese market, but economic is problems, so they opened the Chinese market and they allowed the Chinese business people inside the North Korea. So first time also my mother started this business. This time is the Chinese business bring the always this is clothes, Chinese clothes, and blanket and something like that. So my mother also is sold this clothes and sold out in seaside or countryside. So exchange these pieces or dry piece, rice, corn, and bring in city and selling again, and the pieces is sold to in Chinese business. So it step.
Right.
So after she is under some money, because example she paid is 100 yuan, and after she exchanged the piece and sold again and under 200 pounds, so it's 100 pounds earned. So so this time my mother did business was a success, but in start 1990s North Korea just collapse and distribution system is closed. But in mid 1980s North Korea always, not every time they give to us is a distribution food. Started is mid year 1980s. The economics is the problem.
So there was a redistribution system, and you could already start to tell the mid 1980s that there were problems with it.
Problems. They not give to us on time.
But it collapsed completely in the mid 1990s.
Yes, in 1990s.
Could we talk a bit about your decision to leave North Korea and how you made that decision, and what happened? When was this?
So my mother was the success to her business, but started in 1990s. Her business was the problems because this time is North Korea is the distribution problems. So many is a housewife start a business. It's the same business. So the business is similar, same. So she can't earn a lot of money. So after she borrowed money and she started this big business, but it was failed in 1995 or 1996. So we also problems in our home is food. Some usually is we only ate one meal is just on potato. And this one is okay because with the family, but it's my mother borrowed the money. So after these people came to my house, always they needed the money.
Where did she borrow the money from?
It's in Cheongjin areas, a lot of is Japanese Koreans
Okay.
because when they moved to the North Korea in 1960s. So my mother worked with them because in Japanese Korean people also they did a lot of business because it's before the it's I think it's mid 1980s is Japanese side is family members who usually send the money, but after is North Korea is they just 70% or 80% is got they pay the government side. So after that is Japanese families didn't send the money. So inside North Korea is Japanese Korean people. They just start a business because it's they small the money, but the family members not send the money. So they start the business. So my mother also borrowed money to them, but it failed and she didn't pay the money. So she left home in 1996. And my sister is already married and my brother joined the army. So home is me and my father. But in 1996, first my old uncle is my father's old brother. He died of starvation in front of me. So he stayed in my home 7 days and after he died.
Wow.
So me and my father is looked this my uncle's last breath. So I saw my father, but my father is darkness and he's speechless because he always respected to them and loyalty to them, but his uncles died of starvation. But before is I always saw the many the starvation people in street and also in my class student also died of starvations. But that time is I didn't feel too much because not my family member, but continued that times I believed in families. But when I saw my uncle's body, I've got a lot of questions. Why? Because we always respected to them and we paid our it's a heart paid attention to always to them. But why we received the starvations? But I didn't ask my father because I was scared with North Korea system. So my uncle died of starvation, and after my father also gave up his job because he is scared about outside is met people. Yeah, so he always stayed home, and after he was hemorrhaged, and he just right down. He didn't just. So I just is responsibility my father. So I also gave up my job and I started this selling business in market. But I had no money, so I sold out my clothes and my father clothes to market. But that is just only little money. So I bought rice. This rice because I made a soup to my father because. First, I wanted to save my father, but this money is not enough. So I usually every morning when it's 4 a.m. I went to the seaside and I bring this PC inside the belly. It's belly because it's usually it's belly also money inside North Korea, and the people eat this belly because the PC is very expensive. Yeah, so people can't eat this PC. So inside the belly is we usually eat. So I just went to the seaside and bought this belly and sell in the market. Yeah, I usually do that. So first time I was very shameful because I was a teacher in North Korea. So in a market I met the many my student parents and also my students. So I really shameful. But I wanted to survive, so I continued this work. But another disaster hit me was my brother also left his military. But the first time he didn't explain to us why he didn't left. He only said that he was vacations. So I believed that, but he didn't sleep in a home. He always left home and sleep in friend house. So 3 days after the military people came to my home and they asked to us where is my brother. So I just said normally he's now is visited a friend house. So why? Because he was the vacation now. But they also didn't explain me why. So one day it was midnight 1 a.m. Someone is knocked the door. So I opened the door, but I was shocked because the military is with my brother, but they already beaten to him. So everywhere is bloody and his face was swollen. I was very shocked, and they came to my home and they continued to beat my brother until the 5 a.m. And after they opened the door, and my brother just is shocked because I showed my brother and his eyes is swollen and everywhere is blood. So, but me and my brother my brother didn't explain and didn't complain because it was, I know that is North Korea system, so we didn't speak any words. So military they bring to my brother and went to they just go out. But 2 days after, my brother again escaped because it's North Korea's electricity problems. So usually train is stopped. It's 1 day or 2 days. So he just run out.
Right.
Yeah, and after he told to us he started business in military because every people we pay the royalty money to government side. Yeah, so it's military also they paid the royalty money, but this business was failed. So this failed. This means they also political problems. So they already knew about they maybe sent to prison camp or sometimes execute. So this group is also run out because this is not their problems. This is business failed, but after that they just is a political problem. So they just is run out. So I thought that I wanted to save my brother. Yeah. So one day my weakness father told me that you just left this country and they save your brother. But I just waited when my father condition is better and we together moved to these countries. But my father is still not. Is my father condition is weak, worse. So my brother always is a dangerous way. So in 1998, it's first time. In February, it was very cold winter. So my starving father alone in cold room, and I left my brother, but I didn't say goodbye to my father because I thought that maybe I came back to my father's side, but this journey is never bring to my father's side, and I still don't know when my father's passed away. So February, me and my brother crossed the border in Onsong. And it was the winter, so it's very cold. So river is already iced. So me and my brothers ran away to China. So that is the first escape.
Yes. What did you expect to see in China? What did you had? I know you had a very difficult time in China. But,
in China, I thought that is because I watched the Chinese movie when I lived in North Korea. So they always ate soup. So in my country, in North Korea, so somebody eat soup is poor people.
Right.
So we thought that China is poorer than North Korea. But once in China, we went to this border area, some house, went to this house, and this people gave to us is a meal, but it's the white rice and pork meat soup and eggs. I was very shocked because look, the house is not a rich person, but they just is white,
much more food
because in North Korea, Kim Il Sung always said that is my dream is my country people eat white rice and pork meat. It is Kim Il Sung's dream, but he never make this dream.
Right.
But in China, every people, every person, they always eat the rice and pork meat and a lot of eggs. So I was very shocked because when I went to the school, we usually worked in farm side. It's country farm side is 40 days and 15 days. It's left home, and we stayed the countryside. So we usually saw in net China. So we always said, oh, China is a very poor country, poor country. We always said that. But China is not a poor country. That is a different country. Yeah. Yeah. So first time I saw that is very shocked to me.
You had a difficult time in China.
First, I met the Chinese people,
Yes.
and they spoke Korean.
Yes.
They spoke Korean.
Yes.
So
Were there a lot of Korean people around the border area?
yes, but I thought that maybe Chinese people they speak the Korean. So first I met him is not too difficult, but I was very scared.
Of course.
This country, and. After he just endorsed to me his friend, because he said that this is a border area, so not safe this area. So he endorsed to me his friend, but his friend is a broker. But I didn't know that he's a broker. But he just sold me out in Chinese man, and I separated my brother, and my brother also repatriated to North Korea.
Oh, okay.
So it is 17 years now.
Wow.
So he's disappeared. So I still don't know that he's alive or dead.
You have no contact, I guess.
Yeah, because in 2004 I also repatriated to North Korea, and I asked to his police, but the police they didn't know because my brother was military. Yeah, so it's police is never know about him because he's. He repatriated to North Korea, and he sent the military police office. Yeah, not normally it's the citizens police side, so they didn't know.
So you basically you left North Korea, and you were sold into the world of human trafficking and. I guess is this a common story, Michael?
Absolutely. It's hard to say exactly how widespread it is because
even now, I guess. Yeah.
But out of the refugee population in sort of safe haven, South Korea, the UK, etc., 71% are women, and the estimates are sort of anywhere 80 to 90% of those have been trafficked. In terms of how many have been repatriated, it's really hard to say. But it is a massive widespread problem. People being tricked into being trafficked. And then suffering absolutely horrendously in China at the hands of not just Chinese people, because there are North Koreans as well involved in selling North Koreans into the sort of trafficking marketplace. It's pretty horrendous, and there's unfortunately it's a situation that there's not much that can be done about it at the moment, because the Chinese government monitors and expels activists who go to try and help people there, and it's just a very difficult situation. That it's hard to see exactly how we can, as a community, can support change in that region and stop, put an end to this situation, so that women aren't women and girls aren't trafficked and they're not repatriated. It's a challenging thing.
Yeah. It's, in the UK also the many human rights activists, they work with modern slavery and the human trafficking the issue, but the many people they don't know about the North Korea women human trafficking is in China, because this year also is America said that is China also human trafficking the country. Is the in North Korea is the several times is the human trafficking country, and this year is they also included in China. So in China is I think it's 80% is the maybe North Korean women they human trafficking.
Wow.
So nowadays in China is this human trafficking is just a lot of business. Because they usually need before is they all just is example means sold to is the countryside is man something that, but nowadays they not sold to is human trafficking. They usually is the sex exploitations and online sex make online sex video because that is the on money is better than is human trafficking. Yeah.
Did you think that you would stay and live in China, or did you think about when you first escaped that you would want to go to South Korea or some other country, or did you just want to leave and?
First time I went to the China and I didn't think about the South Korea because I never got any information and I sold out the in countryside. So my life was look like a slavery life in this China, and Chinese family also never allowed to me in their family members. And after I gave son and just only my focus is to look to my son and saved to him. So I never think about anything that. But in 2004, I repatriated to North Korea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got pregnant and you had a son.
Yes. But China is never allowed this child because they was born in North Korean mother, and we are illegal.
So he's not a Chinese citizen.
Yes. So
no rights or anything.
They just is a statelessness child. Yeah.
Wow.
So nowadays in China it's maybe 20,000 this statelessness children.
Wow.
In China, yeah, but the Chinese government never mentioned about that, and also is in 2014 Commission of Inquiry published the report about the North Korea human rights issues, and they asked in Chinese government about this human trafficking issue and the repatriations, but they replied said that we never found any human trafficking women.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. What led you to go back to North Korea?
I think maybe after unification or collapse down, North Korea. So I just said.
But you went back to North Korea after you.
After unification, because I just visited, not lives there.
Yeah,
I just visited because I said I wanted to visit my father's grave, but I still don't know where is my father's. But I wanted to find my father.
Yes. Yeah. What I was wanted to know a bit more about is when you went back to North Korea after you were in China. So I'm wondering how that. Why did that happen? Were you sent back by authorities or?
Yes, I just caught in China, and I stayed in Chinese prison two weeks, and after I sent to in Tumon prison in border area.
Yes.
So when I went to the Tumon prison. And I stayed in the reception area.
Yes.
After police guide came to me, and they just said that is off clothes. So I was very shameful because this is a man, and how did I this clothes? But they just beat me, and they just off all clothes and checked everything. Also, the first time I didn't know why they did that, but after I sent to in prison, so I was very shocked. In there is many North Korean people, but I thought that maybe only me or
A few,
few people, but.
yes.
In here is many, and they told me that this prison, inside the prison, is only North Koreans.
Wow.
Wow, I was very surprised.
How many years were you in China before you
just
realized?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
So you were not going out, and you
yes.
couldn't make any contact with any
yes,
other North Koreans anyway.
So I was very shocked and also very little bit is happy because it's many North Korean. Because before that I stayed in 2 weeks in Chinese prison in Harbin. In there's only the Chinese prisoner, but in here is many North Koreans. So we just talked, but also the shocked because some people is escaped to North Korea 2-3 times, because I just only once time, but they 2-3 times and repatriated again. And so I asked to them why is the police is off our clothes. So they said they just check the money, because usually it's the people they hide money. Because it's money is the good value and survived in North Korea. So usually women is hide money, so they bargains, or some people eat the money. Oh, but I haven't got any money this time, so because it's the Chinese police came to my house in mid 10 p.m. So I didn't bring any money. So it's every day the Chinese police came to the prison, and we off the clothes, and we just stand up, because they just check the money. So some women is period time, so blood is all pro, but they just is smiling. So I just hated. Because I thought that is because I learned that is in America. Soldiers they also killed in North Korean children and mother, and they smiling. We learned the history in 1950s Korean War time. So I thought that this is history, because in China is the same. This is evil and very is hate the people. So I stayed in 1 week in Chinese is border Tumon prison and sent to in North Korea. So I thought that is maybe North Korea is different, because we learned that is North Korean people is very polite and warmer and kind person, but it's totally different. They also same is China. Yeah, they also is off the clothes and they kicked to us, and some usually is a female police guide. They checked to our women's bargains, and they put the hand. It's old people, young people, and they also is women. Some women is a period, and they use the pad, and this is broken pad, and check this out. Hair is hair everywhere. It's totally different, because I learned that is North Korea is a polite country, but totally different. So before that I saw example is egg. So I saw the country just only outside, but when I repatriated to North Korea, I totally see the inside. Yeah, that is not yellow, that is black. Yeah.
So you were repatriated, and you were in a camp.
Yeah, I stayed in first. Everyone is the first went repatriated to North Korea. We stayed in security the police stations, and they interviewed to us. So they asked to us first. They said, "Do you met the South Koreans? And do you visit the church?" And the third one is somebody who is journey to South Korea. So this one is is the political problems. So they sent to the prison camp. And normally, me is escape to North Korea. We find it to food or human trafficking. That is economic problems, but also we just is the politics side. So we sent to labor camp work. So I just is hide my brother is military. He left the military, but I never explained about that. I only said that I just is human trafficking in China. So I was sent to the labor camp. So one day, before our group is in Chinese border area, is Chinese camp. Is usually we group is 11. So when we together inside the camp, so it's the first time, same as me, first time we just is the court in border area. So people usually say that, oh, I stayed in Chinese the church pastor house, something that. But this is very risk, yeah. But we didn't know that. So we stayed in the security camp. And we, after is 100 people, we allowed them labor camp on some area. So we went to Onsong is the labor camp, and after is the secretary police office came to this labor camp, and they brought 2 women again in police security camp, because this woman is spoke that they met the South Koreans in China camp, but somebody is came to the North Korean side, and they just spoke to the security camp. Yeah, so we inside North Korea, so we never believed any person.
Yeah. Were you repatriated with your son?
No, because he said they asked to me if you bring your son is to North Korea. So I said that no, I can't bring it, because I already knew about, and I already saw the many children in North Korea died of starvations, and he's not born in North Korea. So North Korea is never allowed to him. I knew that these systems, because inside North Korea is never allowed is foreign, is mixed child. Yeah. So
where did your son stay?
So my son stayed in China, his grandmother's house.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just easily purchased.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this time is I didn't know the way he did live, but after I came back, because I just knew about this grandmother's house his telephone number. So I came back and I contacted to them, and my son's there. So after I asked my son, is police they sent to him his grandmother's house. Yeah.
I see. Okay. I know we have limited amount of time, but I did want to also hear about your second escape from North Korea. And
yeah, I stayed in labor camp, and we worked only female in countryside, is farm side. But we start working early 4:30 a.m. Before the breakfast, we worked in mountain, and after we work, so we until the dark days, we always work. But we never allowed the shoes. We worked barefoot. Yeah. So in North Korea's pavement is unpavement, and unknown the stones and the glasses, animal fish everywhere. So when you step the glass and you're bleeding, but you continue to walk. So and also in North Korea, farm side is cow is walk in farm side, and cow wearing the cart. But yeah, and lots of stones and something that. But when we walked in farm side, is not cow walk. Female is look like cow. Yeah, so it's in front is 2 women and behind is 2 women, and we usually bring in here 1,000 kilograms stones or everything, and we just run out. But it's pavement is just sometimes it's usually lots of is hills Yeah. So you sometimes the run and it's accident, it's problems, but we quickly do this because police always is beside to us and beaten to us. And most problem was toilet because they not proper toilets. Yeah, so we usually use the toilets behind the police guide, and if we slowly, they just is kicked to us, every beaten. And the female is period time, but North Korea is not part, so we cut off the towel. We use the towel, but water also never allowed to us every day. In the morning, only just is 1 bar of water, and we only face wash. So we never washed this towel. So females every process is blood is everywhere come out, and it's smelling is disgusting. And the head lice and the body lice is everywhere. In night times we slept in one room, and they closed all windows because if we just escaped, and they put the bucket in a room, so we used the toilet in there. So it's smelling is up. So one day when I woke up, my leg was problems, but I didn't know what happened. But I saw my leg was only swollen, but I couldn't move. But
like an infection or something.
Yeah, yes, maybe, yeah. But the first day I didn't know this. Yeah, just only swollen.
Yes.
So police say that you are lazy, you continue to walk. Yeah, and he beat me, but my temperature is 39, sometimes 40 degrees. So I just sometimes just because
black out.
It's the temperature. It's also summer and a lot of high temperatures. Yeah. So 3 days after, I couldn't move and. I couldn't feel it's a half area. So in here, I wanted to go toilet, but I already it's my throat. Yeah, I didn't feel anything that. So after my leg is some water is come out and this smelling also disgusting, and my female worker said that this smells look like dead bodies smelling. So it's the police say that it's bacteria is come to your leg, so maybe you cut off your leg, but 80% is you can't survive. He said that.
Wow.
And my hair is changed and yellow, and skin is black. So they just say that you can't die in a camp. You just get out, die anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
So they just released me. And after I stayed in orphanage house because no home in, so I stayed in front of the police station 7 days, because nowhere I can't go. So I stayed in there, and after they sent it to me, it's an orphanage house, So I stayed there 2 months, but every week police checked me my conditions. So if my condition is better, they bring again. So it's 2 months after. It's literally I walk, and I found out the broker, and the second time is myself is human trafficking to China.
You human trafficked yourself?
Yes, because it's no money, and my condition is very bad, and my son is waiting me. So it's my plan is. First time is just left this country first, and in China after maybe I just escaped because I already knew the Chinese language. So it is easy than first time. So first plan is just have to move this country.
Yes.
Yeah. So myself is human trafficking.
So you just managed to escape.
Yeah, because the first time I escaped North Korea without the broker.
Yes.
But when it's 2004, many people they need broker because border security is.
So the broker takes care of things like the border security and the crossing.
Yes. They always made this journey, so that is easy to me. And second time is I have not the North Korea is ID card, so I can't go to the border area. So it's problems. So I need broker. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Do you have to pay the broker?
But it's human trafficking is not paid because
Right.
they sold to me China.
They're going to sell on
yeah,
the other.
Yeah,
other
that
end.
is a lot
they
of
say,
money.
okay,
yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So that's how you managed your escape.
Yeah. So once
And then when you arrive, so because you can speak the language, you're
Yeah.
not you're in a different situation than if you were first there.
Yes, yeah,
Is that right? So
yeah.
you can go away.
No, it's
No?
we escaped at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. We crossed the border and we went to the China. So maybe we worked in road area. It's 1 or 2 hours. We go to the in another Chinese broker house, but it's road area was very dangerous to us. So we worked in mountain. So we arrived near the Chinese broker area is 9 a.m. 9 p.m. We all day walked in mountain area. So after we just catch the taxi, but this time it's not only me and another younger girl. She also human trafficking, and all the money is visited his relatives in China. So and the broker. So we on the taxi. But it's usually in China, it's a taxi driver is a spy, yeah.
All right.
Because they usually find the North Koreans and send the police. Because the police also they paid money to them, so it is the good money.
It's a good business for
yeah.
the taxi
So
driver.
he just looked to us. He looked like we are not Chinese. So he just asked us, "Where are you going?" But nobody speaks, so I said that we are going to the somewhere, something that. So he asked me that is because he's a taxi driver, and the next is a broker, and me is the young lady, and the man is behind. So he asked me that why this man can't speak Chinese.
Right.
So I said that. How do I say? So I say that it's my husband. My husband lives is a Korean side, Korean village, and he didn't go to school, so he can't speak Chinese.
Right.
And I said this is next to is my sister, but she's mute. And my brother also lives in Korean is the town, and he can't speak Chinese. And after I said that is I walked in palm side, but it's a snake. It's bit me. So now we are going to the hospital. So he believed that because
well done.
that time my Chinese is very good and my condition also very bad. So he believed that. So we went after we went to the Chinese broker house, and I can't move because. Is my leg is problem, but I hide my leg. I didn't speak my leg problems.
Right.
But when I went to this house and I can't move, so after when I just off to my socks and everyone is just
Yeah.
how did it work?
Wow.
Because it's swollen and it could still there is problems, but that time is big problems. Is water is still to come out. They shocked. So I thought that this is time, and I said that I already been to the China. You already knew, and here's my son. So I wanted to contact it to him. So first the broker is rejected me. No, you can't. But I just cried. But after he just looked to me and my leg, and you just only once contact your son. So I just dial and contacted my son, but he didn't. He just off phone, and after I said that his son is mom, and just minutes after he just only one word is mom, and cry, and off phone. So I also cried, and next day is broker told me that. You just find your son because I have two children in North Korea. So this time you saved me. Because he's broker, so usually it's North Korea police targeted to him. So he said that maybe I repatriate to North Korea. I maybe executions in North Korea. But this time so you save my life. So I save your life. You just bind to your son. So I said, thank you so much. So I'm really lucky person, and I still remember this man. Yeah, I'm really thankful to him.
That's amazing. Wow. And you were reunited, and then you found your way.
Yes, but yeah, I 2005 I reunited my son again because this time is my condition is continued very bad. So maybe my son looked at me, he's shocked. So I didn't reunited my son in 2004. So in 2005 I reunited my son again, and me and my son went to Beijing because I just left this country and went to the South Korea. So I visited in Beijing South Korea embassy, but it's in front the embassy is Chinese police is in there. Yeah, so it was very security. So I went to the shop and contacted the South Korea embassy. So can you help me? But they say that we can't help you. You just go to the inside. We can help, but outside we can't help. And they just is open. So it is my last chance. So it's very awful time, and I didn't know what do I do in here. So after I met the many North Korean refugees in front of the embassy, so they also wanted to go South Korea, but this journey is very dangerous. So we 9 people went to the Mongolia. We chose the Mongolia. So we went to the Nemongo, and we crossed the border is China and the Mongolia border. But China the fence is 2 meters high and very strong the fence. So we just cut off the fence, and everyone is just run out. But me and my son is still in there. But China border is two is the high fence is 2-way, and after is the Mongolia border. So this first fence and the second fence is maybe 200 meters. So in here is usually Chinese police cars run up down. They look at that. So everybody is gone out, and my son and me is continued in here. And after I found out the police car they just up to us. I just holding my son's hand, but I couldn't say that we just run. Because my son is that time is only 6. So I just we walk. But this time one person came to us, and he backed my son and just handed my hand, and we ran away and cut the second fence. And after we crossed to Mongolia border, but Mongolia is just only 50 centimeters border. So we just jumped there. And after I saw him, we met in Beijing. He also one of the North Koreans. But he just saved me and my son. So now he is my husband.
That's a wonderful story.
I know that I left North Korea 1998 and arrived in the UK 2008. So it's 10 years.
10 years. Wow.
But my journey ending is a happiness.
That's a wonderful story. Thank you. I know we have to wrap it up soon, but what do you think of life in the UK?
The UK is my second hometown. Because it's North Korea. It's not my country. It's only my hometown because my father is graves in here, in there, and my relatives in there. So it's hometown, but it's in here is my second hometown, and nowadays my children's country. So first time I arrived in the UK I can't understand any English. So many English people told me that it's welcome to the United Kingdom. But first time I didn't understand that this means because nobody welcomed to us. Yeah, in North Korea and in China, nobody welcomed to us. But in here is many people welcomed to us in United Kingdom. So few years after I learned English and I met the people and they continue to say that welcome to United Kingdom and hug me. So I was cried because we all North Korean people thought that is because China is never allowed to us and repatriate to North Korea and North Korea also discriminated to us and tortured, beaten to us. So they never allowed to us as human. But in here, they allowed to us human, same as to them. So I'm really thank you, thank you in UK people and the government. But in the UK also many North Korean refugees.
Yeah.
But some refugees they still rejected their refugee visas. So it's a government to give to them opportunity, new life in here. Yeah, they also same as me and the same as to them. Yeah, so they just is they lived in slavery country and they always is threatened the human rights issues. But in here, it's freedom countries, but they still not find out that they happiness. So give to them refugee visas, and they find that they happiness, freedom.
Thank you. Michael, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, before we go, the work of Connect North Korea, and if my listeners are interested in maybe supporting your work in some way, or if you have ideas, Ji-Hyun, how my listeners can support the work that you guys are doing, or I'm sure that there are many people that are wondering how they might be able to do that.
Sure. So there's two kind of facets to our work. On the one hand, we work to kind of support the integration of North Korean refugees here in the UK. And then the second kind of aspect of our work is to raise awareness of the human rights situation through events, educational and arts-based programming, and that's a challenge for rather obvious reasons. And in terms of how people can support the work, of course, people can donate, and they can go on our website, connectnorthkorea.org, and they can donate via there. Or if they're based in the UK, particularly if they're based in the sort of southwest of London, where most North Korean refugees live, they can volunteer with us to teach English to North Korean refugees, or to mentor younger North Koreans through our sort of youth mentoring program, and they can find out more details about that on our website.
Very cool. Yeah. Thank you very much. I know we've gone slightly over time, but before we wrap it up, was there anything else that either of you wanted to mention that we didn't get a chance to mention?
I just mentioned that is China, because China also is the UN members, and the North Korea also UN members. But it's a Chinese government always say that North Korea is not refugees, they illegal migrants, so they always repatriations to us. So China government stopped these repatriations. And also it's a statelessness children who is born in China, but it's a Chinese government say that is they born in North Korean mother, but we find out the Universal Declaration of Child right, and we also find out that the Universal Declarations, every person who is born in, they got the nationality and the name, so they just give to them is the nationality, or send to them South Korea or this is somewhere third countries because they also human. So they also accept the human rights.
Yes, everyone is entitled to a nationality.
Because my son was a stateless child, so when he arrived in the UK when he was 9, so first time he got the nationality and the name and went to the school. So he's now joined the university in London and learning accounting and finance.
Wow.
So but I asked my son, how was your life? How is your life? But he said that I already lost my half life. And he said that when I went to the high school, many my friends spoke that children teenage young life. And they've got lots of pictures, but I haven't got any pictures. So I still the painful, but he is now finding his dreams and happiness in here. But another children still don't find their happiness. This is not only North Korea issues. That is a human issues.
Yes, it happens in many countries. Yes. I wanted to thank you both very much. This was a fascinating conversation, and I'm sure my listeners will enjoy it and find it very, very interesting. I'll put in the show notes all the links to your sites and anything that anything else that we talked about, so people can check that out. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope you guys found that as interesting and as enthralling as I did. Check out the show notes as usual to learn more about both Ji-Hyun and Michael and how you might be able to help. And as always, if you like all things risk, please share the show or leave a rating or review, particularly on iTunes, because look, I'm a one-man gang over here. I do this on the side as a hobby. I work full-time and I don't have any sort of marketing machinery behind me. So if you enjoy the show, chances are others would as well. I thoroughly appreciate when you guys do that. So thank you to all of you who've done so. And on that note, some of you have been asking about how you might be able to donate to the show. And after some thought, yes, that's coming. The show and our episodes will always be free of charge, but I'm working on a crowdfunding page for All Things Risk for anyone who's interested in helping me defray the costs of producing it. So do stay tuned for that. And if you want to get in touch, drop me a note at allthingsrisk@gmail.com. That's the best place to do that. You can check out allthingsrisk.co.uk. That's .co.uk, which is our website. You can find all our back episodes there, as well as every way in which you can subscribe to the show. We've got more great stuff coming up, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Until then, and as always, don't forget, risk is life.